Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Just Sam podcast. My name is Sam, and joining me is my co host, Mimi.
Hello.
And this week, we have some exciting and a little bit scary news to share. You all know, if you've been following along with us at all, that we have been on a journey for the last couple of years now. As a matter of fact, I just had Facebook memories pop up on Facebook from the yard sale that we had 2 years ago when you and your husband were getting ready
To move.
to move
Oh,
from your place and move in to the mother-in-law apartment. So it's been 2 years. Really longer than that, but like in the thick of it for the last couple
right.
of years now. Um, and it just so happens that we're about to have another yard sale. We're moving. We both really feel like the Lord has showed us that we need to be in Orlando. That is where our ministry is really focused out of the business, the travel agency and things. Like, we prioritize really Disney World, and we do some Universal and things as well. And even cruising, one of the major ports here in
The
Florida.
one I always leave from is Orlando.
Yeah, is only like 45 minutes from Orlando. Um, and so we are selling it all and walking away from our jobs,
Our families,
our families. Now, look,
except for our husbands and your
yes,
two.
and my two youngest children. We know that it's not, we're not sitting here telling you we're moving across the country. So when we
No.
say that we're leaving our families, we know that there's probably a lot of you out there that maybe have like truly had to leave your families and move much further away than that. Um, but it is going to be an adjustment. It's definitely going
Absolutely.
to be an adjustment. My two oldest sons are 22 and going to be 20 in August, but they still live at home. Like, they're adults and have careers and things, but my oldest rents the mother-in-law apartment. Um, and my next to the oldest is still in the bedroom downstairs. And so we've never, I know Mimi has already had her oldest son, you know, move out and get married and has a second baby on the way.
Yep.
So she's went through it once. I've never done it at all. So I know there's going to be probably lots of tears shed. It's going to be a huge adjustment.
Well, you got to figure I'm leaving my grandbaby.
Yes, I was about
So,
to say, Mimi is leaving her grandchildren.
yeah.
So it's and I am going to have joint custody.
You're leaving your grandpup.
My grandpup, I'm having to share joint custody of my grandpup um with my oldest, and we have already argued quite a bit about that. I was just he's an EMT. So he works 24 to 48-hour shifts where he's not home. And so she and her name is Sasha, we've gotten very, very close over the last year or so. And so I've been trying to tell him, like, at first he was like, Mom, you can have visitation rights. And I'd get her like every other weekend. I'm like, that's not going to work. I'm like, it's got to be at least you have her a week, I have her a week. But I was just trying to tell him last night, I'm like, you don't understand. She is attached to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to be primary custody parent
That's
here.
actually what I told Amy was that we would come get Leilani and Sasha
Mhm.
on Monday, and we would bring them back to their parents on Friday, and their parents could have them every weekend.
That sounds like a perfect plan to me. Y'all, it's going to be a struggle.
Ugh,
It's going to
I've
be a
already started
struggle.
crying.
Yeah. We laugh about it, but this really is like
It's a sacrifice.
It is a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Um, it's a huge step of faith. Like, I had to struggle personally with, so I just talked about my two oldest sons, and they're all for getting out and getting a place together and like truly starting their adult lives. But I have a 14-year-old,
Yeah.
and this coming school year will be his first year of high school. And he's went to the same school with the same group of friends for like 6 or 7 years now. And I had to really struggle with, like, Lord, this is going to be really hard for him. It's going to be really hard for him. And my mama heart hurts for him
Yeah.
about that. But at the end of the day, I have to be like, Lord, I know you know what's best, and I know you wouldn't be calling us to make this move and transition if it was going to harm my children or you didn't
Yeah.
have their best in mind, and that at the end of the day, it will be what's best for him, whether it looks like that in the moment or
Absolutely.
not.
Absolutely.
And so, uh, but then our jobs, you know, I've been at my nursing position for, I've been a nurse for 10 years this year, and I've been with my current job for 6 of those years, and, I love it. Like, there's a deep hunger in me to, like, be fully pursuing the purposes and things of God and following that path, but I am still leaving something that I have loved, that has provided for my family, and something that I know that I've been doing the work of the Lord in for, like, the last 6 years. Um, and then the income.
Yeah.
The income aspect of it. Uh, I've been, my income has been, like, the top in our family for a few years now, and to step away and walk away from that, um, it's scary. It really is, but I again, the same as with my son, I have to just trust and believe that God has already made a way. He's
Absolutely.
already made provision.
Yeah.
Would you like to?
Even though we can't see what they are at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, I personally thought that my whole life was going to have something to do with children, and like the job that I'm in right now, it is dealing with troubled teens. And I was in driving a school bus and working with DCF. So, like, so much of my adult life and my career has been working around kids. So I always just thought that that was my calling.
Mhm.
I had no idea that the Lord was taking my journey and the things that I've been through and growing me in such a way that He was calling me into ministry for women. It's just not something that I would ever thought.
Yeah.
I could see myself like maybe working in an orphanage or like going to other countries, anything, but I always pictured it being with the mindset that I was going to minister to kids.
Yeah.
So this is it's still shocking. And kind of surreal sometimes when I sit back and I think about the things that the Lord is doing in our life. And I'm like, is this really happening? Lord, are you sure this is what you're saying? And this isn't just me being delusional and menopausal? Like, is
Yeah.
this real? But then he confirms it by the next step and then the next step. And then every time we say yes, he gives us another glimpse of something. So, our lives are about to be like totally flipped upside down. We're going to be changing churches.
Mhm.
We're, like I said, walking away from my kids and my grandbabies. You were walking away from 2 of your boys
My
and
mom.
your mom and your grandpa. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just total life transformation, and our yes is no easy thing necessarily, but, like, I told my daughter, when she said, "Well, that doesn't make no sense. Why would y'all be moving to Orlando when you just bought this house? What was the purpose of buying this house?" And I just told her, "I have to follow the Lord.
Yeah.
I have to do what I feel like He is calling us to do. I cannot say no to God. I can't.
Yeah.
So whatever this journey is going to be, He already knows. He already has things set in place for us. He has provisions. So we are really, with a lot of faith, taking this step. Um, Thank God both of our husbands are on board and totally supportive. But it also means that they are going to have to leave their jobs.
Yeah. That in and of itself, especially your husband's a lot more adventurous than mine. Y'all, my poor little husband, like the quintessential American dream, the little house with the white picket fence and live in the same place, have the same job
Yeah.
till you retire and then die one day. Like that has always been who he is. Like no desire. I want to see the world. I want to see the world. He could care less about any of it,
Yeah.
about any of it. And so, and his job that he's going to be walking away from, he's been with for like he's working through his 27th year right now
Yeah. It's crazy.
of being with the same company. Um, and he hates Orlando. Like not as bad as he hates Gainesville and the Gators for anybody familiar with in this area, North Florida. Like if I had said Gainesville, I'm sure we would still be going back and forth cuz he would not have agreed, but um I know like it's kind of been the story of our relationship and things over the last 15 years or so since coming to know the Lord. Like, I'm the risk taker. I am the one to, hey, had this word from the Lord, XYZ. And I always know that it's like really, really the Lord when my husband steps in line and follows suit because only, literally only God would have made this something possible that we are coming together on and agreeing on. And literally, like, heard words come out of my husband's mouth the other day that I thought I would never, ever, ever hear. And he was like, you know what? Maybe the best thing for me is to have a move from this area, different job. And I was absolutely blown away. Absolutely blown away. Like I know I know it's the Lord. I know it's the Lord because like, you know,
For
the
him
president
for him
himself
to
could not have
be
moved
yeah,
that
for him
man
to be
if
willing to move to Orlando is nothing short of a miracle from God.
yeah, and for it to not be a situation where I've like got him at gunpoint
Yeah,
being like, you got to go.
he is willing.
Yeah, for
He
him
is
to be willingly and
he is
like,
willing to walk away from his job
yeah,
that he has been at, like you said, he's in his 26th, 27th year,
yeah,
and he is willing to walk away from it. And
yeah,
my husband has a job that he really, really likes, and he likes his boss, and he likes what he's doing, and he is 100% backing us. So that in itself is a blessing from God that he is dealing with our hearts to do something, to step out on faith and do something, but he is also preparing the hearts of our husbands
Yeah.
that they are willing to change everything about their life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I can tell you right now, there have been other things that I've come to my husband with that I came to him with years ago, and it's still right there in the dusty closet, ain't been pulled out, looked at, nothing. Like I'm when he, sets his feet in the sand, like there is no moving him whatsoever,
Yeah.
none. So I again know it's the Lord, and while it is, you know, scary and a little bit overwhelming, like it's exciting too because you know I don't know. Again, I'm more of the adventurous sort. I it's exciting to me to think about going on an adventure with the Lord and being like, okay, Lord, what's next? What are
It's
we?
exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking because you truly we are taking this one step at a time, and we don't know
Mm-mm.
steps 1 through 10. We're only seeing the first step and then the second
Yeah.
step. So it is a little nerve-wracking, but like you said, it's also exciting. It's very humbling to me that the Lord is using me in such a way that I would never thought,
Yeah.
and using our friendship.
And touching back on, how you thought that you would always work with children. I was just listening to a message last night and the fact that like God works in seasons, and we are both in the season of life where like motherhood and mothering young children is getting further and further in the rearview mirror. I mean, I do have, you know, my youngest is going to be 8 um in a couple of months, but he's the youngest of 4. I've done, brought 2 young men into adulthood. The third in line has only got about 3.5 more years, and he's going to cross that line. And it's just that shift and that change in seasons. And when we were mothering, younger children and things like that, it made a lot more sense and was a lot more relatable for us to be able to work with children, and then because that's the
Yeah.
season that we were in.
Yeah.
Um, and I really feel like the season that God is calling us into is going after the women that are in the season that we're in or about to be in it. It is a hard transition to transition from, you know, your kids kind of being the center of your world, and your life is all about them. And then suddenly they're, growing up and moving out and doing all of the
Yeah.
things, and it can leave a real void and
Yeah.
a real like, okay, what's next in my life? And I really feel like that's,
We are stepping into a whole new chapter.
yeah, a whole new chapter, and a whole new
A whole new direction,
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
This
And
podcast for one, I would
oh
have never
yeah, yeah,
never
for
thought
sure.
that
For
either of
sure.
us would be on camera talking and just putting our life out there. So that in itself was a step in obedience.
Mhm.
He dealt with you first about a podcast, and then it was over a year before I come to you and I was like, we're supposed to do a
Yeah.
podcast. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's been working on us. I know everybody's just now seeing it because we've just started doing the podcast and all, but he has actually been working on us for several years now with this. Like I've said a couple of times on here that something big was coming. The Lord, he showed me that something big was coming. I didn't know what it was, but I knew in my heart that something big. I would have never dreamed
Mm-mm.
that 2 years ago that word that I got something big was coming, that it would be us selling our houses and moving.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah, there is nothing special about you or I.
Absolutely
Like,
not.
nothing special about us at all.
Mhm.
Literally, our life and where we're at right now and the things God is calling us into has been because of a series of yeses.
Yeah.
Yeses when it was hard. Yes, when it didn't make sense. Yes, when, it meant giving up and walking away from things that were very important to us. And not just, being willing to say yes over and over again, no matter the cost, no matter what it looked like, but being just crazy enough to believe God,
Absolutely.
to believe him when he, spoke Disney World to me 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And for those that have not um seen the episodes where Mimi and I like really share that backstory, but the exact words that the Lord spoke to me when I was driving home with my now 14-year-old, he was little at the time. Like, this is like 10 years ago, 10 years ago. Um, and we had been down in Orlando for the weekend, had went to Disney, went to SeaWorld and things, and were driving back, and I was in that place of feeling bummed like you do a lot of times when you're coming off of a trip or vacation or whatever. Like, man, I wish I didn't have to leave, have to go back to jobs and reality and all of these things.
Mm.
And, the Lord literally spoke to me and was like, and this was as I was like driving past. If you haven't been there, Disney has like huge fields of solar panels distributing the power, but it's like shaped like a Mickey head. They have it shaped like a Mickey head. And I'm driving past that field and seeing that and everything. I know it's one of the last things I'm going to pass as we're leaving. Um, and the Lord literally spoke to me and was like, one day you're going to own it and you're not going to have to leave. And of course, that sounded insane.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It sounded really, really like, what do you mean own it? And not have to leave. I'm a brand new nurse. Like, we have just come through a very difficult season of me being a stay-at-home mom, caring for my children, caring for my ailing father that had Parkinson's, and like being very, very, very poor, y'all. I mean, like, we are
And going
just
to school.
and going to school. We are just barely, barely got like a toe out of that season, right? And so, um, for God to speak something like that was absolutely insane. And even over the years, there was, years and years of questioning, like, God, what does that even mean? Own it? Like, how's that even possible? And now, 9, 10 years later, um, it's all coming together. And while no, I don't own it in a physical sense, in a spiritual sense, it is mine and Mimi because she's connected to me and the promises God has given me. Promised land, like inheritance, spiritual promised land and inheritance. That is the place that we are supposed to be, where God is going to use us to help bring in his harvest. Like, it's all for him.
Absolutely.
None of it's for us. It's
Yeah.
all for him and whatever, souls and lives that he's going to put in our path that we're supposed to impact, that we're supposed to, reach for him. But it's Disney. It's that land in the spiritual sense. And now in the physical sense, like, I love Disney, have always absolutely loved it, going to the parks and everything else. But right now, we only live about 3 hours away. So I had never, ever imagined like moving down there because for a lot of the reasons we already talked about on this podcast. My children go to school here. My widowed mother is here. My husband has a job here in the area that we're in that he's worked for almost 30 years now. Like, and I can get in my car, drive to Orlando to the parks, go spend the day, and come back all in one day.
Yeah.
Is it gotten a little bit harder the older I've got? Yes, it's gotten a little bit more difficult to do that, but it can still be done. And I've done it many, many times. So I never imagined myself moving down there.
Me either.
But now here we are.
The amount of people in traffic alone
Yeah.
makes me want to say no.
Yeah. But here we are. Here we are. And God has, over the last couple of months, like, really made it plain to both of us that we are supposed to be in Orlando. So now that word that he spoke to me all of those years ago, you're going to own it. And he's made it abundantly clear that it's my spiritual inheritance. And then number 2, you're not going to have to leave it. And now here he is, all of these years later, has called us to move down there. And so anybody listening to this and to this, testimony, story, whatever, and we're going to be sharing like a lot more, probably going to start sharing on all of our socials, the travel agency page, our private Facebook group, all of it. And here in this podcast, like, this journey, because we really feel like that is one of the main components of why God is having us do all of this and take these steps and take this leap of faith, is because he wants others to see and know that this is him and this is how he works, and that he has, while your destiny and purpose may not look like ours, we all have one.
Absolutely.
And like, again, there's nothing special about us. It just takes
a yes.
A yes. It just takes a willingness to say yes. And believe God, even when it sounds crazy. Now, that phrase, one day you're going to own it and not have to leave, does not seem nearly as far out there and just incomprehensible as it did in that moment when he first spoke it. But that's where faith come into play.
Absolutely.
We have to have faith. Like, God is never going to take you to a place where you don't have to have faith. Like, ever.
No.
Ever. If you are in his will, there is going to be some area in your life where you are having to rely completely on faith in God, on what he said or what he said do, even though nothing around you makes sense. Even though the things he said seem absolutely insane and make you feel crazy. But, it's just one step at a time.
Absolutely.
One step at a time.
I'm kind of excited to do recordings of us getting the houses ready to sell and all the bloopers and stuff that is to come. Because, with our families, there's bloopers always.
For real.
So
Always.
And that's what we want. We want to literally give y'all a raw look at the good, the bad, the ugly, what our walk entails. And we feel like God is sending us down there to grow our ministry. For y'all that don't know it, our ministry is Royal by Design, and it is geared toward ministering to women. So that's our journey. That's where we feel God is sending us and what he's sending us for. Do we have all the answers? No.
Not even close.
All we know is we have to sell our houses and the men are going to find new jobs and we've got to find a place to live and then see what God wants us to do next.
So, on that note, those of you in our audience that are believers and you are praying people, we would really appreciate and covet your prayers,
Absolutely.
you know, as we begin this journey. I mean, we know we're going to Orlando, but we don't know where yet. We don't know who's going to come by our house. Like there's a lot of
Yep.
of
God's gonna have to send
yeah,
fires. He's going to have to send us the place that we're moving
moving
to. He's
to
gonna have to
jobs for the
give our
men.
men jobs. Like,
Yes.
there's a lot of moving pieces. A new school for
Yeah.
for your boys. So
Or homeschool.
absolutely.
We've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. So
So,
it's a lot.
and our families, praying for our families that we
Absolutely.
are leaving, that God would comfort them and be with them during this time because I know from experience that the if you're on the side of the being left behind, it's really
Lonely.
lonely and hard and all of those things because we're having to leave, but we also have these promises from the Lord and the excitement over what he's going to do in our lives and the future possibilities and all of these things. But, our loved ones that we're to them, they're just getting left.
Yeah.
And so, and I've been in that spot and I know how tough that spot can be. But I also know that the Lord can bring you through it. And so, and that he loves, our family and things that we're having to walk away and leave just as much as we love them, even more. And that he has good plans for them too. So just, prayers all around.
Yeah.
All around over the whole situation. If you are a praying person, we would definitely appreciate your prayers and things. And before we go, I just want to give one more shout out about our first retreat that we have coming up at Disney World. It's June of this year, the 26th through the 28th,
Mm-hmm.
for women. It only is going to cost you the price of your room. We're covering the cost for everything else from meals to private fireworks crews at Epcot, t-shirts, gifts. We're covering the cost of all of that. You can find the registration for it on all of our socials. You can find it on Facebook, Just Sam Travels, Instagram, Just Sam Travels, Mimi Simmons private page,
Yeah.
Samara Rubel private page. And you can also find details and information about it inside our private group for the ladies, Royal by Design. Look us up on Facebook. We would absolutely love to have you there. And again, if y'all need prayer, you have any questions, you would like to reach out and connect, you can do that in all of those spaces that I just named, but also on Substack, Just Sam Podcast on Substack. We have a website there. You can reach out, leave comments, messages, all of those things. Do you have anything else that you would like to share before we go?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Okay. All right, y'all. Well, we truly hope that you follow along with us in this adventure that we are setting out on. But we love y'all. We hope you have a great week and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.